Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download. It's Wednesday, our Ally guest segment here in the Bojangles studio, and Casey Atwood is our guest. It's been a long time, man. I have not heard from this guy in forever. I don't think anybody has. Let's see what he's been up to. The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. So we are in the Bojangles studio, and don't forget, now through May 5th, 2 free bird dogs. Go to bojangles.com, or you can go on the app at participating stores using the promo code Dale Jr., D-A-L-E-J-R, and you get 2 free bird dogs. I mean, that's a free meal. Let's do that. All right, that sounds like a easy yes. Get them while they're hot on the Bojangles app or online. Talked about our guest, Casey Atwood. We were digging, trying to find some information on this guy and what he's been doing. And there's not a bunch out there. There just isn't. He's been laying in the weeds, off the radar. We're going to find out why. So, Ally, we got to thank them for bringing the guest segment every week. They have been so supportive of this show. Everything in NASCAR, they are involved. We thank Ally for everything they do here at Dirty Mo Media and across the board for NASCAR. Let's see what Casey Atwood has been doing since he has been away from NASCAR racing. Let's get him in the room. What's CA17? Your hat?
I run a late model, and a friend of mine made this logo, and she made me some hats.
Yeah. So you're still racing?
A little bit, yeah.
I heard about that. I'm glad you're here. When you got called to come on the show, I thought it would be a little tougher to get you here because you're still way out there in Nashville.
Yeah.
What you gonna do while you're in town?
Nothing. I'm heading back right after this.
How'd you get here?
I drove up.
No.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. Who'd you bring with you?
Nobody.
You drove all the way here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No problem.
How's your family?
Everybody's good. I have a 18-year-old girl that's graduating this year and a 16-year-old.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You still married?
Yeah.
Yeah. Married to your high school sweetheart?
Yep.
Or your childhood sweetheart?
Yep.
How close do you live to your hometown where you were born?
Oh, still there? Still right there, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, about, I don't know,
yeah.
20 minutes from the track down there
really?
at the fairground.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, man, let's dive into it. You were born back in 1980.
Yeah.
Seems like you're younger than that, like born later. But 80s, I'm born in 74.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, when you come into the series, I felt like I was much older than you, but it ain't but 6 years.
Yeah, I was. My first race was 98, so I was 17.
Yeah. So when you get, you weren't born into a racing family. And how did you learn about racing?
So I always watched racing on Sundays, and we had a group of people that we kind of watched the races with.
Yep.
And we rode yard carts. They have like a little track in the backyard, and we'd go over there and watch the race, and then we'd go out and play around with the little yard carts. And but nobody ever raced in my family. How it happened was I had a buddy that got a racing cart, and we went and watched him one time, and I was like, Dad, I gotta have one.
Yeah.
And he got me one, and we played around in parking lots for a while, like school parking lots, just driving around, and then eventually he let me race. So
when you first get behind the wheel, I mean, did it come naturally or?
Yeah, it did. it did. We raced there locally at the fairgrounds on the, they had the little track at the fairgrounds.
A quarter mile in the infield.
And they had the X,
yeah,
where they used to have the
figure eight
races, and they'd run a chicane through there, and then I started there, and then we started running WK series, traveling, running road courses.
Road courses.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did that go? I mean, is that you and your dad?
Yeah, just me and my dad traveling.
Yep. And what did you? I mean, who knew anything about the cart? Right, tire treatment, setting up the cart. just you and him handled it and learned as you went?
Yeah, pretty much. He was good. He was pretty good at tires and setting up the kart, and he got it pretty quick, and we were competitive right out the gate.
How did you do in WKA? How competitive were you?
Well, we won a couple of championships. Back then it was purple plate. We had, I was 10 or 11, 12, so we was running restrictor plates, and the next class up was gold plate. We won a couple of championships. Doing that, yeah. And
so, so eventually you're going to get into, 4 cylinders. Who builds that car? Whose car is that?
We bought one first from a guy. It was a Pinto.
Yeah.
4-cylinder Pinto, and then my dad had one built. And it was most of the people ran Mustangs, the 4-cylinder Mustangs, and he built I think it was like a Beretta, with an Opel motor, and that's when we met. I didn't race for a while. We'd go for the open practices, and I'd just practice a lot. And that's
messing with it. Yeah,
that's when we met Bobby.
At what track?
Highland Rim.
Okay, where's Highland Rim at?
It's like 30 minutes north of the fairgrounds.
Okay, and is it still in business?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Bobby Hamilton's just hanging out up there, or what's going on?
I was trying to. I knew this was coming up, and I was trying. I think we just met him at the track.
Yeah.
Because he would always.
Was his son racing there? Or?
Yes.
So that's probably why he was there?
Yeah, he was always at the track. Little Bobby drove the 4-cylinder class also at the time.
I got you.
And I think we just met him there because I was always there testing, and just before you know it, our cars were at his shop. Like, we kept them there.
Yeah.
At his shop in Mount Juliet, and he helped us ever since.
So what's his shop like back then?
He's got a pretty good little long piece of property, and he's got a shop. It's like an old house with a big garage on the end of it that caught fire or something. And then he had his big shop out back. So he had a house, a shop, and another shop.
Yeah.
And we kept ours in that old house that burnt, that had a shop on the end of it. And then he had the big shop out back.
And the big shop's where he run his trucks out of, or what?
No, this was way before that.
Way before that.
Yeah.
So little Bobby Jr. was kind of coming up at the same time. I remember going to Nashville Fairgrounds when you were racing there, and Bobby Jr. was racing there in his car before he got into the Xfinity Series. But Bobby Sr., Bobby Hamilton Sr., incredible dude.
Yeah.
And I got a pretty cool little story with him, but that we've told on the show before. But why do you think that he wanted to help you? What was in it for him? Why do you and him have that connection? What was the basis of that?
Nothing was in it for him. I think he just liked me. Maybe he saw something in me.
Yeah.
But man, he helped a lot. I mean, he would race on Sunday, and he would be at the track with us on Monday, and he'd be up under that thing, working, because he could do anything. He could, build cars, build the shocks, build the motors. He could do it all, and he could hell of a driver too. So, he helped us. He brung me along quicker and helped me with the track and how to drive it, and he was just a big help to me.
So you ran Highland Rim in the 4-cylinder, and then you moved up to late model stocks, and you're 15 years old. Are you racing late model stocks at Highland Rim?
Yeah. So we only ran those 4-cylinder cars, not even half a season, and then Bobby was like, "Hey, I know this guy's got this old late model, and it's not pretty, but it runs pretty good," and we ended up buying it.
Yeah.
And we just went to late models immediately. We stopped running the 4-cylinders, and I ran, I think, 13 races at the end of that year in that late model at Highland Rim, and I think we won 7. So,
damn.
Yeah. And it was the old late model with the stock clips.
No shit. Yeah, the stock
like
front clip.
Yeah, and I remember wrecking that thing in practice one time. And I nosed it in the inside wall, and Bobby found like a 69 Camaro front clip somewhere and put it on my car on jack stands.
Yep.
And we went back out, and it was like it never happened.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember in '94 the first late model stock car that I drove had a stock front clip on it, and I was looking at that going, how the hell is that going to work? You know, I mean, is that all the same points as a tube clip, but you're looking at it and you're thinking, this can't be fast, right? But I guess, you know, why did you move from Highland Rim to the fairgrounds? Because when I run into you, you're running at the fairgrounds every week. What happened? What was the transition there about?
Oh, we just wanted to go racing there.
Was it the prestige of the fairgrounds or the size of the track?
Yeah, we had been going down there for years watching. I remember watching Jeff Green when he was down there running every week. Yeah, so that's where we wanted to go. So we went to actually, me and Bobby bought a car from Townsend at the same time. He bought one and I bought one.
Yep.
So we just kind of moved our, we already was keeping our stuff there, so he was helping us out with that. So we just made the move. That's just where we wanted to race.
Yep. And when you get to the fairgrounds, I mean, I love that racetrack.
Yeah.
You know, just an incredibly cool facility. And for a late model stock car, man, it's fast.
Yeah.
You're in the throttle quite a bit. You're still really young. I mean, this is 96 when you go to the fairgrounds. You're, probably 15, 16 years old. I think you were 16 when I saw you for the first time there. I mean, you hadn't been racing.
Yeah. I think I was 15 because it was NASCAR sanctioned, and I had to get a fake birth certificate.
So that's what happened?
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
My dad got it somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I remember my fake birthday was January something, 1980. Just so I needed a few more months to be able to race there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So when you go to fairgrounds, you'd been watching races there, so I mean, you weren't like you walked into the place for the first time with your race car and was like, "Whoa, wow, this is huge." But like I remember going around that place for the first time and just falling in love with it immediately, and I think you probably had the same experience. Yeah,
and we did a lot of, like I said earlier, we did a lot of testing. I would take off school on the whatever the practice day was. I think it was Thursdays or something. And we just go make tons of laps. I got tons of laps around there before I raced, it seemed like. So
right.
I was a little bit more ready than I should have been.
You get into the racing there. You got Joe Buford and who was the fella that drove that 10 car, passed away?
Andy Kirby.
So you had some really tough competition.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, back then they were getting 28, 32 cars a week. And when we would show up, I mean, the fields were huge.
Yeah.
But you were winning races, running good. I mean, your success at the fairgrounds at 15, 16 years old, your reputation was traveling into conversations down here, in the NASCAR world. And Bobby Hamilton was a big influence on that. Hey, Casey Atwood's this kid. He's doing crazy things up here. He's a natural, right? You were getting that build-up, right, that we would all, recognize when you came into the Cup Series. It started in that little blue late model car at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Your car is painted up with the 43 on it, SDP colors.
Yeah.
You're 16 years old, so I know you probably don't realize then you're just having fun.
Yeah.
This is all great. Looking back on it now, what do you think about all of that? I mean, obviously, I know you love Bobby Hamilton and the connection and the influence he had on you was amazing, no question. Driving the 43 and driving that history that has that you now understand, right? The success you were having at such a young age and the expectations starting to be placed on you. What are your feelings about all of that today?
I don't know that I was really like you said, I don't think I was thinking about it a whole lot back then. I think the car was painted up like that because of Bobby,
mm-hmm.
and he was helping us, and I never really thought anything else was going. I thought that was as far as I was going to go.
Really?
Race. I mean, we didn't have the money to go run anywhere else, so I thought I'd just be racing Nashville Fairgrounds forever.
Yeah.
But
so, the car the car is so recognizable, and I think that had a big influence. I think that helped you a lot.
Yeah, it may have. I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
At the time.
Well, I mean, when I show up and I drive into the racetrack and I unload my car, my eyes immediately go to that. Your car, right? And then when you run good or and I hear the name and I'm like recognize the name or Bobby Hamilton might come over and go, you need to watch that kid. He's good. I mean, those things were big influences on your career. What is your feeling about the fairgrounds today? The track has gone through a lot of changes since then, and we have a lot of conversations in this room about it. And I've been there. I've been downtown in the meetings with the local government, with Marcus Smith and his team, trying to figure out really what the possibilities are around the future of the racetrack. You live there, right? And so you have probably a better understanding of what the real true potential is for the fairgrounds. And just when I think that it's over and there's not any hope, something happens, or there's always sort of this little glimmer of possibility that still exists. Or I call Marcus and he'll say, we got a meeting coming up, or we got an opportunity to push this further along, and it's not, still alive. What do you think living up there?
I just think the city doesn't want it.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for a long time. They've just going back and forth between the people that live around there. None of them want it there. Too loud. There's a group of racing people. Of course, everybody's fighting for it, but unless something happens with Marcus and the people at Bristol, I don't really know what's going to happen. It doesn't look good.
Yeah, I thought that the track was grandfathered in and protected in a sense in terms of weekly racing, right?
Yeah.
The fair board allows Bob Sargent and folks to come in, and there's a schedule, right? A very nice, concise amount of time that people can come there and race, and that was protected. And so it's interesting to me. I guess it's not as ironclad of an agreement as I thought.
Yeah.
Where there is a true concern over the future of the facility physically. Like it could, if the wrong thing were to happen, it could go away entirely.
Yeah, I that's the way I understand it too. It's supposed to be grandfathered in for Saturday night racing, right, and the fair and stuff like that on that property. But have you been there? How long has it been since you've been there?
Probably about 12 months.
They have a big high rise right behind the track and soccer stadium, and it just keeps getting closer and closer to that track.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I hope that something happens and they can do something with it, but I don't know.
You're racing a late model a little bit now. Where do you race?
No, I ran a late model from probably 2012 till a few years ago.
Why'd you quit?
I just had my own car, and I was running just whenever I felt like it.
What kind of car was it?
It was at first I bought supposed to be a Hamke car from...
So the left-hander.
Hamke.
Yeah, but it's offset.
Oh, offset, yeah. Yeah, 3-link offset. Pro late model. We went to Arkansas and met this guy. Me and my buddy Brandon bought this car and got there and didn't really want it because it wasn't what the pictures looked like.
Yep.
And stuff. So, but we didn't drove that far, so we bought it and got it back and tore it all the way apart. It had like steel interior, like millions of tack welds holding this thing in. So we cut it all out and rebuild this thing. And I do all the fab on it myself. I do the interior, the dash, the ductwork, and I've never done any of that before.
Yeah.
Didn't even know I could do it.
Yep.
So I like doing that almost as much as driving.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it. But that was the car we started with, and then we had the guys at Day Enterprises in Nashville build me a new chassis.
Okay.
And it was I wanted a straight rail truck arm car. I didn't want the 3-link stuff. I wanted to be more like I was used to.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like the way those those 3-link cars drove. It was like at Nashville, it's like you go in, everything feels normal, and then you get in the gas and your hands are straight. It's like rear steering the whole time.
Right.
I didn't like it. So I had him build me this truck arm car, and it drove the same damn way. So it's something with the too much left side weight, and we never really figured out how to get that feel, because I want to turn the wheel off the corner.
Sure.
I don't want it to be straight or this way.
Right.
So, but anyway, I would just run that when we had time, and I'm cheap as hell too, so I didn't like spending my own money on it.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So, what are you racing these days?
Well, I wasn't doing anything the last couple of years, but I just ran the Legend Car Spring Nationals at the fairgrounds.
Okay.
Last weekend.
How'd that come about?
A buddy of mine has 3 or 4 cars.
Who?
His name's Kevin. Actually, Wayne Grubb drives one of his cars.
Yep.
You remember him?
Oh, yeah.
So Wayne lives in Bowling Green now, and they'd been running together for a few years.
On the little track at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
I've seen some YouTube videos of Wayne racing that thing and winning.
Yeah, he runs good.
Yeah. And so they call you up just out of the blue?
Yeah, I know him. So
Okay.
I'd go down there and watch him.
I got
Yeah,
you.
we're buddies. So
They're like, hey, we got one. You want to race?
yeah, he bought a new one from up around here, I think. And said, hey, man, why don't you come down and run the Spring Nationals? I was like,
How many races was that?
the Spring Nationals?
Yeah.
It was 3 races. I got knocked out of the first one. Guy missed the corner. I was on the outside of him, and we jumped tires and I ended up on the big track. So I just pulled in, and then the second race I finished 5th, and the third race I finished 5th.
Yeah.
And then you try to go to a series where those people do that every week.
It's
and
tough.
they'll whoop your ass.
Yeah. I get my ass kicked in the cars tour when I go run in.
But I'm getting it.
Yeah.
I'll eventually get it.
So you're going to keep messing with it?
Yeah, I'm gonna run some more this year.
What was it like to see Wayne again? Hang out with him?
Oh, it's good. We've been friends for a while. He actually went to, when he got done racing, he moved to Kentucky and went to work for Bruco.
Okay.
Where I had raced before.
What's he done for them?
I think he was car chief.
Okay, shoot.
He did all the setups.
Damn.
At first, I think he stayed back at the shop at first, did all the setups.
That's crazy.
He's smart as hell.
Yeah.
He does some of the best fab work you'll see. Good at setups.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So I remember when him and his brother were racing late model stocks at South Boston, and then they would go to Martinsville and run the big 300 race, and their cars were freaking beautiful, man. And then they get in the Xfinity Series and like hit the ground, like running top 5, both of them, right, in their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Before I think Kevin got in the Bruco car, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And what did Wayne do? Wayne just ran his dad's stuff.
Wayne
right?
ran the 83
That's
link
right.
belt car.
That was his own car.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. I always wondered, I thought both of them boys, I thought Wayne especially, Kevin got an opportunity, right? In someone else's car, right? Wayne, I don't think ever got out of his own family equipment.
Yeah.
I thought he had the talent, right, to do it.
Yeah, I think so.
And I always kind of wondered what he'd been up to. So, and when I saw that YouTube video of him racing, I like that. I like seeing that. I like knowing that, like you and him and all these guys that I remember that have moved on, right? Got carried on with their lives and settled down. I love that y'all still piddle, or go to a local track or a local short track and still compete.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, man, it's weird to me, like guys will quit entirely. Like, how do you stop?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's like I don't know how they do that either. It's like,
I mean, I know money's one object, and yes, you would take a year off or a couple years off and not do it. Yeah, whatever, and then get back into it.
But it's always there.
It's always there.
It's always there if you want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, because everybody that sits down here, especially like the older guys, I'm like, so you retired and you just never drove again? You just quit? You don't want to do it one more time? I mean, you could just go anywhere, right, and race a car somewhere.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So I love that you're still competing. Man, I remember going to the fairgrounds and watching you race and racing with you. in the late model stuff, we had a big race there one year, and we recently told this story where there was the All-American 400 or some mess. The big all-pro cars were running, and they had a late model stock race with it, and my car burnt to the ground in turn 3 and 4. Remember that?
I remember, yeah.
So we're running. We're pretty happy. I ran okay. The first weirdest thing, man. Gonna make this show about me for a second. We go down there. Jeff Green helped me and went down there and test one day. And we go. We never ran there before, right? So we show up. Jeff Green's practicing for a day. We end up running the feature and run side by side across the line with Buford, and run second. He won the race, and I'm like, holy shit, we're coming back here. Like we run good. And I'm like pumped. Like I race at Myrtle Beach and drive my ass off to run fourth, and we came to Nashville and run so good that first race. I was like, we're coming back, and we never ran that good again. And then we showed up with a different car for this race. It was a big race. It was they had a couple heat races and locked in like the top 20 and all that. Had 80 cars, I think. Some of the guys I raced with at the beach that never traveled were there racing. But anyways, my car burnt to the ground. Bobby Hamilton offered me some car y'all had been messing with, but it was a Ford.
Yeah.
And you ran a Chevrolet bodied car. And this Ford had a spool in the back that nobody ran spools in the late model stocks. At least I don't think it was probably, it might have been a couple cars running at the fairgrounds, but no, most people didn't. And it had a big 500 carburetor on it, so you could run the 350 on your Chevrolet, and then Joe Buford and those guys could run that big ass 500.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd known those rules. That was a common rule across all the tracks in the Southeast for the late model stocks. But I get in that car, and I think I qualified 8th, and running in the race and got up and toward the front when the car broke. The transmission fell out of it. But I could not believe how much faster that car was. And it was the car was great, and we got lucky by, sticking the right setup underneath it with Bobby and his guys' help. But the carburetor, I could not believe how much an advantage that was.
Yeah, that was.
And y'all didn't run that car.
That was my car. Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, it was.
We
never raced it.
Why?
I don't know.
The word I got that day was y'all messed with it, practiced it, and didn't like it as much as the other car.
Yeah, I think we had just got it, and we're just kind of starting to mess with it.
Okay.
That car was an Earl Owens chassis, the same guy that built Buford's car.
Okay.
So he built that car. We got it pretty much turnkey except for motor. He built it, hung the body, all that. And I think all we did was test it and never raced it. Never did after either. I never raced it.
No, because Bobby sold it on the pit road at the end of that race. Sold it for $40,000.
Yeah.
Turnkey. Well, yeah, just like it sat.
Yeah.
It needed a transmission. But
Chase Montgomery, I think, bought that car.
Really?
After that.
What'd he do with it? You remember?
I don't know.
Nothing.
Never saw it again.
Did he?
Bobby might have ended back up with that car. I remember at some point he had bought a couple late models and put seats in the right side for some reason. I don't remember why. He was giving rides to somebody. Yeah. He bought a couple late. I think he might have ended back up with that car and cut it up, put a seat in the right side or something.
That's crazy. I love to hear a history of something like that. I'm glad to finally know who even built that car, because I ran that car, and every once in a while I'll see somebody make a custom die cast of it. There's one, I think, sitting in that booth over there. But and fans will bring them to us. But I really could not believe how good that car ran.
Yeah.
And how fast it was.
I remember it driving good. I mean, I don't know why we didn't run it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it just wasn't quite as comfortable as the other car.
I'll tell you this. The Ford having the 500 carburetor might have been fine at a place like, Myrtle Beach or Highland Rim, but at the fairgrounds, that was an unfair advantage. I'm here to tell you, no wonder Buford was so good.
Well, except for all the Chevrolet guys took their back carburetor bolts out and sucked a bunch of air, so that kind of evened them back out.
Is that right? That's funny.
Yeah, we'd loosen. We'd have them. Everybody did it. I mean, except for y'all. Y'all might not have done it when
we
y'all
didn't know
came.
about that.
But
I would have if I knew about it.
There was hardly any tech. There's never been much tech around there at Nashville.
Yeah.
We would just loosen the back carburetor bolts up, suck all the air in. Then they did finally catch on to that, so we just started putting bolts that were too long and would bottom out, and it was still sucking air. So.
Yeah.
But that's how we would kind of even up to the Fords.
Yeah. Okay. What other tricks did you have? Any other cool tricks?
I had 11-inch wheels one time.
Damn.
That made a
bigger difference
bigger
than you thought.
difference in the motor.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it makes the contact patch a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Damn.
It is. We didn't race it. I got caught after qualifying.
How?
Was
it that visually that obvious?
Not really.
Right.
But they'd never checked them before.
Right.
And right after qualifying, they come over there and measure my damn wheels.
Damn, somebody must have told on you.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, that made out of anything we've ever tried, that was probably the biggest difference feel wise. It felt like just handled way better.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet. I need to try that.
Yeah.
I still mess with my late model. I got I should have did this way sooner. But I was worried about getting my ass kicked, so I was real hesitant to go back. But we got this Cars Tour deal now. I'm sure you've been paying attention.
Yeah.
And so I get in there and run every once in a while, and they're tough. It's tough. I go to Florence and race non-Cars Tour races, but and I love running there. I used to race there in the 90s when I'd come see y'all at the fairgrounds. I was running Florence on Friday nights. And so it's kind of cool to go back there and race, and I'm glad I'm doing it. I don't know how much longer I can do it and feel like I got a decent shot at a good run. I don't know how old you are when you're too old, but I'm gonna keep messing with it.
Yeah, it's tough.
It is.
You go anywhere that people do it all the time, and it's just like, man,
you're only gonna be that good if you do it every week.
That's
the one thing I've learned.
Yeah, they just have way more time with the car. The drivers do it all the time. They're comfortable in them.
So the next thing I remember happening for you was getting this opportunity to drive a Busch car at the fairgrounds. You come out there. I mean, it's your track. You know the place really well. It's white 28.
Yeah.
Who owned that car?
Larry Lockamy. It was LAR Motorsports and Dennis Adcock. Dennis ended up being a truck official after that. Mm-hmm. And I think he had worked for Ray and Jeff at some point way back in the 90s. But I actually ran Rockingham first.
Okay. How'd that go?
Rockingham, I think I qualified 13th in my first ever race at Rockingham. Yeah. And finished somewhere around, I think 15th or something. Mm-hmm. But I remember I beat Mark Martin. And he was in that Winn-Dixie car. I think he started right behind me. So that was pretty scary.
Yeah.
My first race and have him behind me.
You go to fairgrounds, you sit on the pole.
Yeah.
And a lot of people took notice. It is a home track for you, but then you go out there in the race and you ran up front and finished second. I remember I was running third in that race. And for me at my age, I was a little bit older, 6 years older than you. And a short track like the fairgrounds or any short track, we go to South Boston and all these places. Hickory was the worst, man. I was going to crash at Hickory. I just didn't have the racecraft for 250 laps or 300 laps or whatever, right? I did not have it. And I was impressed by how fast you ran in qualifying. What really I think was the best thing about it was how you put together an entire race at such a young age. I mean, I think you're still 16 at that point, 16 or 17.
17.
Yeah. And so you're still super young, and you didn't know what you didn't know, but you kept the fenders on it, ran clean, and ended up almost winning the race. Coming out of that, you get done, you get out of the car. I know you're young and you really don't realize what you did, but did you have any understanding of what kind of an accomplishment that was?
Yeah, I did, and I didn't know I was gonna run that fast in that qualifying. I come in and just everybody swarms the car like, hey, you might win the pole here. So And I don't really even know what I'm doing there. I'm just a kid, and I got this opportunity to run this Busch car. I did okay in my first race, and then we come to the Nashville, and it was just it's incredible to be able to run up front like that. And I think we led like over 100 laps.
Yeah.
And really had the best car all day. I feel like that team was wasn't really used to running like that, so we didn't have our pit crew. I'd go back to 13th every time we pit.
Yeah.
So I was able to come back up to second. They actually had a caution at the end of that race, and it ended under caution.
Oh.
Yeah. So if they went back to green, I think I would have had a shot at winning.
Had a shot at it. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. But that was the race. I feel like that was the race to put you on the map.
Yeah.
What'd you do next?
I ran that car that night, that 28 car, a few more times that year, and had some more success. I think we ran good at Loudon in that car, and then the Bruco guys.
Yeah. So
asked me to drive for them.
Were they talking? Did they come to you quickly right after Nashville, or was it a while after that? Do you remember? Are they talking to your dad, or because you're a kid still.
Yeah, they don't talk to me at first.
Yeah.
They talked to him at first. Seemed like it was it wasn't right after that race.
Yeah.
It was. Well, we ran some more races, and then eventually they did come to me and asked me. They were starting on the second car.
That's
and
right.
They had the sponsor, Castro sponsor. So I got out of the 28 car after I signed with them, and they put me in the 63 car, Hensley's.
Really?
For the last 6 or 7 races.
How'd that go?
Good. Well, I had some good runs in that car.
Yeah.
I got the pole and Homestead in it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that car back at that time. That car was starting to lose a bit of its dominance. There was a time when that 63 with Chuck Bound and those guys, that car dominated the series. Was almost hard to beat. But I forgot you even got to drive for those guys.
That thing would not go in qualifying. Like I remember Atlanta. I ran Atlanta and Charlotte, and it just wouldn't go qualifying. But when the race started and that thing get wound up, I think I drove up to the top 10 before the first stop in both of those races. And then got the pole at Homestead. But I come off a 2 on my first lap and smacked the wall, and it bent the spoiler. Like 2 inches of spoiler bent.
Yeah.
Second lap, I got the pole. It wasn't that good, but something with that.
Something knocked that spoiler down a little
bit. And I
bit.
went for that second lap.
Lost some drag.
But I don't think we ran that well in the race. But.
Yeah. So you go to Bruco with the Castro car. So, one of the coolest looking sponsors in all of motorsports is Castrol.
Yeah.
The colors.
John Force.
Yeah, it's neat. And so I was pretty envious of that deal, and the way that car looked. It's a cool looking race car. But so you get teamed up with those guys at Bruco, and end up winning at Milwaukee in '99. Is that your first win?
Yeah.
So I broke my shoulder blade in practice that day, and come back to the racetrack. And who runs second? Was it Jeff Green?
Jeff Green.
Yeah. I run third in that race. And I remember being I remember sort of that being that was another key moment in your life where, that you'd had this, really crazy good run at Nashville in that 28 car. They bring you into, you're in a real deal race team. You're in a real deal ride as a full-time driver with Bruco. They're a great race team, but they're out budgeted by some of these people, right? There's a lot of cup drivers in the series coming in and out every week. There's some strong competition. I looked at Bruco as like a B+ team, in my opinion. I know that we outsourced them and outfunded them in that AC Delco car.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really impressive. Not only were you able to show that you had what it took to do it, but you lifted that team a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You might not have noticed that or recognized that as much, but I felt like they got better,
Yeah.
right, as you started to learn your racecraft. What do you remember about that day? I mean, Milwaukee's a pretty historic racetrack. Pretty cool to get your first win there. What was that like?
We were just fast that whole weekend. I think we got the pole that race also, and just led most of the race. I think we got back a little bit on our last stop or something, and we had to battle Jeff Green pretty tough there for the win. I was behind him, trying everything I could do to get by him there at the end of that race, and ended up touching him a little bit and getting by him, but. It was just an incredible feeling. You know, I was at that point. I thought, I'd won that race. I was 18, and I thought that might have sealed it up that I could have a long career. You know. So
I felt the same way. So that's interesting you said that. When I was your age, or when I first get into the Xfinity Series, in my mind, I'm like, what do I got to do to be here forever?
Yeah.
I didn't really sit there and go, man, I'm going to be a champion. I'm going to win 100 races. My thought was, if I can win one, I think I can have a career here.
Yeah, that's how you feel. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
So you win that race, man. You were quiet. You know, I mean, you were approachable but you weren't like, you know, you had LaJoy and you had Buckshot and all those guys, and all of them were, they were a bit aggressive in and out of the car. But you were kind of reserved, very, very measured in your in how you engaged with the media and so forth. Is that the way you remember it? Do you feel like that was? Did you feel like, you know, you got to earn your place? Or
I was super shy.
Why?
I don't know, and kind of felt like I didn't belong there. Kind of like all these guys are a lot older.
You didn't have a racing history in your family. You're sort of this, like, you kind of couldn't break through the new kid.
Yeah,
in the room.
Like, you know, these guys been there long. They're older. They got more experience. I don't belong there. They don't want to talk to me. They don't care about talking to me, you know. But and it gives off the wrong impression sometimes. Like I feel like I'm better or something. But it wasn't that. It was just almost like nervous to be around those guys. You know?
How did you deal with that?
Just the best I could. You know, you just become friends with the ones you meet and you're close to.
Who'd you become buddies with?
I actually knew Randy LaJoy before I even got there. So he was one that I could always go to and was always nice to me and gave me time. And other than him as a driver, just my teammates and people on my crew.
Who were some of your teammates?
Kevin was my teammate in the Busch Series, so we became buddies. And other than that, I just kind of stayed to myself.
So after 1999, you're in the Bruco car. Before you go to drive for Rays, did you get other opportunities or anybody else call you?
Yeah, I met with after sometime in the end of 99, we're still racing. Richard Childress had me over to his shop and asked me to drive the 2 AC Delco car because you were getting out of the AC Delco car, and then he was getting that sponsor.
Really?
And then he asked me to drive that car, yeah.
The car Harvick would drive?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
And why didn't you do it?
I turned it down.
Damn. Because did you have the Ray thing happening?
No.
You didn't want to leave Bruco?
Well, I mean, I think
How did you turn that down?
I think more than anything that it freaked me out to be meeting with Richard Childress. Yeah. And
you went to welcome to the shop? Or?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, he flew me over there.
Holy from Nashville
on a jet, and then he flew me back on the King Air when I didn't take it. But
did you go with your dad?
Yeah, he went with me, and I don't know why I didn't take it. I was comfortable where I was.
Yeah.
That group that I was with at Bruco came with me from the 28 car.
Okay.
Jason Ratcliffe was one of them.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was on that 28 car.
Was he?
As a car chief, mechanic.
Yeah.
I think he was a tire changer too.
That's wild.
Yeah. So Jason Ratcliffe was on that 28 car from Nashville in 98. All that whole group came with me to Bruco.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it. I was comfortable with them. We were winning at the time when I got that offer. And I didn't take it.
Damn, man. Wonder what your career would have been like had it went in that route.
I don't know.
Holy cow.
It worked out for them.
Yeah, but you never know what might have happened for you.
Yeah.
So you end up having some pretty good success in this 27 car, and I think you're like a year and a half, maybe a year and a quarter into that deal before you get tabbed to drive for Ray. Yeah. So it was quick.
Yeah, maybe a little over a year and a half into that deal.
Right, and so again, like this is kind of reminds me a bit of William Byron, like William bounced through like legends, late models, trucks, Xfinity, like his bam, 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 he's in the Cup Series. This is really similar for you. You raced your first Cup race at what age?
2000.
20?
So I'd have been 20.
Yeah. And so, I feel like just 4 years ago you starting late model racing, and now you're in a Cup car or moving into a Cup team. That's one of the most anticipated teams to have come along in some time. Ray Evernham's starting up this program. The Dodge stuff and all of that, the red cars. He's left Hendrick. So you probably had no idea how difficult that was going to be in terms of just getting the cars to be competitive, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking the same thing I'm probably thinking at the time. Wow, Ray Evernham's going to start a team. They'll be hot right off the ground. They got all kinds of support from Dodge. They're going to hit the ground and be super competitive. But it was a little bit of it was more work than that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I didn't want to go to Cup.
Why not?
I didn't feel like I was ready.
Who was pushing you to do it? Did you feel like it was your choice?
Yeah. I thought it was a good opportunity to go and learn from Ray with what he had done with Jeff, and when he pitched it to me, he pitched it like, you got a couple years here. We're going to, no pressure. You're going to just bring you along, develop you.
Yep.
And I'm not really expecting a lot this first year. So I was like, okay. If I get some time and I'm able to develop, and I'm not expected to go out there and win right off the bat, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. And so is that how it all went down? I mean, do you not feel you bring that up because I'm assuming that you felt like that might have been the intention out of the gate, but then as the season starts rolling on, expectations ramp up. Just like going, you tell yourself, man, I'm gonna go to the racetrack, I'm gonna have fun. I ain't gonna pay attention to the lap chart. I ain't gonna get competitive. I'm just gonna enjoy it. That's the way I approach it these days, or I try.
Yeah.
But we all get there. We all want to be fast, and so I think maybe at some point early in the season, did the pressure start to build, expectations start to build? Hey, man, let's strive for more. I expect more out of you. What was the deal?
Eventually, yes. I think one thing that happened that started putting pressure on us is Sterling was running good.
Yeah.
In that 40 car.
Okay.
And we wasn't, for a while. And I think that started putting pressure on both of our teams that, hey, obviously this car can run decent because he's doing it.
Yep.
And we eventually got there.
Yeah.
But it took a little longer than his.
How do you think that the 40 team was able to figure it out?
I think they were ahead of us on the soft spring, big bar stuff, and aero.
Yeah.
They were. We wasn't doing that yet when I first got there. We was running the big spring, small bar, and at that time, Ray had been out of racing since the middle of '99, so he missed the end of '99 and 2000. He wasn't around because he had quit Hendrick and they were starting his team. So I just think we was behind on that stuff for a minute there.
And plus, I think Ray's the owner.
Yeah.
When you're the owner, you can't crew chief the car. You can't. They put. You had crew chiefs, right? Both cars had crew chiefs, and I think when a guy like Ray starts a team, you're thinking. I think both of us probably are thinking at that point. His influence. He's going to have mechanical and physical influence on setups and all those things, and that's not reality. If he's running the team, right, he don't have time for that.
A lot going on.
He can't sit there and worry about, is this right rear spring the one? Is this one we need to put in there? He's not doing that anymore, right? And so what he had been great at wasn't always going to be there available, right, to you.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that was probably challenging as well for Ray even, right? Because he probably wanted to.
Yeah,
he wanted to be hands-on.
Yeah, he's a car guy.
Yes.
He wants to be in under that car doing something to it. But, he had a lot going on, and he liked to be on the box during the race.
Yeah.
He called a lot of my races back then, even though he wasn't the crew chief. But he would call a lot of them. But he probably didn't have the time to really get into the car like he wanted.
Your teammate's Bill Elliott, the guy that's accomplished everything in the sport. What kind of teammate is Bill Elliott?
He's good. He was always really nice to me. I got along with him great. And, we were both kind of struggling along there at first. And we both kind of picked it up at the same time at some point in that season. I think it was like right before Indy. NASCAR gave us some kick out on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they had done some wind tunnel testing and they gave us some kick out on the nose, and we both go. I think we might have qualified 1 and 2 at Indy,
mm-hmm.
and we were leading 1 and 2 for the first fuel stop, and we're finally we're getting it.
Yeah.
We're both running better, and then I think we go back a little bit after the first stop, and I'm right behind Dale Jarrett trying to come back up through there to get to Bill because I think he's still up there. And I'm right behind him, right on his ass, coming up off of one of those turns, and he scrapes the wall, and I hit him. And it busts my radiator.
Damn.
Knocks me out of the damn race. But, we both he was really helpful with driving the car, and we both kind of came on really strong there at the end of that season together and started running good.
Yeah, I think I remember that. You started to make ground and create momentum. Bill's doing really well in his car as well. I got to ask you, having been tabbed to drive for Ray Evernham for his new team, and Ray's history with Jeff Gordon and what he was able to do with Jeff. Did you hear the comparisons, or did you feel this sort of pressure that people were looking at you to be like that next Jeff Gordon? Because that was true. That was really what was happening.
Yeah.
Whether that was affecting you personally or not. Outside expectations can bother you, and we've both probably experienced that at some degree. And in that moment, everybody thought that Ray was the master, and he was this expert. He was picking this guy that he thought would be the Jeff Gordon for his team. Right? Did you have that pressure?
Yeah.
They told you mentioned that they told you at the start of the year, no worries, just get in there and get comfortable. We don't have high expectations. Let this play out.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I first met him, when I met with him, and he asked me to drive for him. That was like when he told me about, it was a 3-year deal. He's like, I don't expect you to go out there and win.
Yeah.
For a couple of years. And I remember him mentioning, Jeff didn't really come on to his 3rd year.
Right.
And, that's when he really got it. So I think that's where he was putting that timeline on me.
Right.
As, by that 3rd year, you need to be getting it.
Did you feel like that the pressure changed in the first year, or what happened?
I didn't feel anything. Everything was going fine. We were learning, we were getting better, and then it happened just like that.
Like what?
After
Homestead?
No, after Talladega.
The first year?
Yeah, he said after Talladega, he said, taking you out.
At the end of the year?
Yeah. So
you get a phone call, or like how'd that happen?
He calls my dad and tells me to be at the shop. Well, we'd run Talladega, and I came back with the team, and then I was told to come to the shop that Monday morning.
Yeah. After
Talladega.
And y'all go in the office with Ray?
I'll go by myself.
By yourself?
Yeah.
What'd he say?
Just taking you out. That's about all I remember.
Damn.
Yeah.
Do you remember leaving?
Yeah.
Do you remember getting in your car and driving out of there?
Yeah.
What did you feel?
Yeah, devastated.
Yeah.
Everything had always came easy. I won quick in everything.
Yeah.
All the way up. Even almost in Cup eventually at the end of that year.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what was going to happen,
Right.
I never experienced it before.
So you're in North Carolina, and you're far from home, and now you're this is like the first rejection you've probably ever had in your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you've got a bunch of months to you got a lot of time you still got the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he says he's keeping me. He's letting me finish the year, but I'm out after that.
Did he tell you what you were going to do?
No.
So you left, and do you remember much about the next several weeks about like learning what your future was, or trying to figure that out, or what opportunities there might have been? Because, I mean, your stock's still pretty good, at that point.
Yeah. I think we go to Homestead and test right after he told me. I think we test that week because Phoenix is coming up.
Yeah.
We test Homestead, and at the last few minutes of the practice, we finally throw the soft spring big bar stuff in, and I pick up like 3/4 of a second. And we go to Phoenix, and I'm like hiding in the trailer. I don't want to come out and talk because I just got let go.
Is it public knowledge, do you think, or you just didn't even want to?
I don't remember if it is or isn't until it might have. I don't know. It might have done it later when they announced.
Is your team aware?
Yeah.
Your crew chief aware?
Yeah. Yeah, I told him. He might already knew,
sure.
But I told him.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if it was public or not.
And you're still 20, 21 years old?
Yeah.
And by yourself? Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Where's your dad?
Oh, he's probably there. He's probably around, yeah.
How do he help you navigate that?
He wasn't happy. He was probably more mad than I was.
Yeah.
But my point about that Homestead test story was we race Talladega, I get let go. We go test Homestead, put the setup in there I really liked, and we go to Phoenix and get set on the pole.
Yeah.
And we're leading that thing by 4 or 5 seconds and end up cutting a tire and going a lap down and coming back to 14th. But so it's like I get let go and then I start running good.
They're figuring it out.
And I start running good, and it's like, damn.
Y'all went to Homestead at the end of the year and nearly won.
Yeah.
Bill and you both had really, really fast race cars.
Yeah, so we go same deal. We tested there. We finally getting this soft spring deal figured out. I really like it. And we he has this plan that he's good at working the race out in his head before it ever happens. Ray is.
Yeah.
So he says we're going to take 2 tires at the end of this race, and so we put 2 tires on it in the last practice. I've never done that before. We put right sides on it in practice to see what it would do, so we know what adjustment to make at the end of that race the next day. So we do it. It plays out perfect. I come out leading, and I take off, and we have 5-second lead, 15 to go. I'm winning. They're not catching me. I'm winning. And then a caution comes out, and Bill ends up driving up close to me, up off of going into 3, and wiggles me, and gets by me.
And then his left front tire or something, let go on the last lap, right? Or
his did?
I think so, right? Or did he win that race?
Bill won.
Oh, he won that race?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the next year, Homestead, I think.
Yeah, he wiggles me. He didn't touch me, but
yeah, he just got your arrow.
And then Michael ends up getting by me too. I finished 3rd.
All right. So, at what point did you learn that you were going to go to the 7 car?
After the season, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
After I don't know how that happened. If we started picking it up, and he decided he wanted to keep me around, or
maybe there was a year on your deal that he didn't want to buy you out of.
Yeah, I think he was gonna just take me out and pay me.
Yeah.
But so they ended up putting that deal together with the 7, and that's what I ended up doing.
And I've heard you say that you wished that Ray had just let you go at this point, so you could go elsewhere maybe and see what other opportunities there were. That going to the 7 car ended up being, in hindsight, not the best thing for you.
No.
What do you think you had in opportunities? Was anybody calling?
Well, I think we didn't announce that Jeremy was going to get in the car till Atlanta.
Yeah.
I believe. And then I feel like he put that deal together pretty quick. I didn't really have that opportunity to go look around.
Yeah.
So,
what did you think about driving for that? For 7 and Jim Smith.
Well, I mean, I liked all those guys, but
y'all struggled.
I was basically in the same cars that Michael Waltrip and Mike Wallace drove. We just put Dodge nose and tail on them. Yeah. And we struggled. We didn't even, we flashed a couple of times here and there if we was going to one of my favorite tracks or something, but it was a struggle.
How'd you manage that emotionally? Dealing with, this ain't going anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just.
You're not going to turn this team into a front runner.
No. I wanted to be back in that other car, the one I was just in, because we were just really getting it.
So you're out there watching that car do what you thought it could do with you in it.
Yeah. Well, they struggled the next year too.
Oh.
With Jeremy that first year, I think they finished 26 in points. I finished 26 my first year.
Was that a bit of redemption? Because, I do that too, if you get out of a car and somebody else gets in it, you don't want them to do better than you were doing.
Yeah.
Right? And so Jeremy gets in there and the car really didn't change. Did that make...
No, they were actually running worse than we were at the end of that season.
Yeah.
Because we really, we finally got a team built. I got a crew chief that I was really getting along good with at Ray.
Yeah. Have you talked to Ray about any of this since?
No, I don't. Not that I remember.
Yeah.
We've hung out several times.
Man, I should have left me in there. You give him a hard time about it.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think he should have left me in there. I just needed more than 1 year.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, and I didn't think I should have been taken out of it.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of felt that way too after the.
Once it all netted out.
After, they just make you damn decision after the season. After, maybe that wouldn't have happened. But
NASCAR fans, FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, is here. And right now, new customers, they get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you bet your first $5. Just go to FanDuel.com/Dale to sign up. Then you can bet on everything from individual race winners to prop bets to which driver's going to take home the championship, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. This week's race is at Dover for the NASCAR drivers. They tackle the tricky Monster Mile. I've won at this race before, and it's very, very hard to tame this track. It's tough, the high banks. And make sure you tune in to Dirty Modo each week, as they're going to give you all the insights that you'll need going into these weekends. Start your engines with $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you place your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/Dale to get started. FanDuel, authorized gaming operator of NASCAR. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. You do end up moving over to the R&D car that Ray had.
Yeah, we had, of course, after 2002, that didn't work out, and I wasn't really doing anything in 2003.
So you're sitting in Charlotte or back in Nashville?
I lived in Nashville.
You went back, okay. And so do you think living in Nashville had any influence over your success or lack of success?
Well, I've said that looking back, I wish I'd have moved here.
Yeah.
After I got away from it, and I was like, what things
could
I have
changed?
Done? Yeah. And one of them is being here and being at the shop. And I don't know if that would have done anything.
Sure.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
No.
But I was taken out, from what I understand, for performance. So.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't hurt nothing. I think that I definitely should have.
Yeah.
Came here. And
it was tough, though, to leave what you're comfortable with. I mean, listen, Chase Elliott, he's the same way. He ain't leaving Georgia.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. If you want Chase Elliott, you're going to have to understand he's going to live where he wants. And he made that choice. He made it work. But you end up leaving the Cup Series and going back into the Xfinity Series, driving for Fitz Bradshaw.
Yeah. Well, at first I ran Ray had brought me back to run Pocono in 2003 in a test team. Had that Mountain Dew live wire paint scheme.
Yep, number 91.
Yeah. And when we were running like 7th at Pocono, and I think I broke a valve spring in that race. And then I drove for him again in 2005. He had that six Bush car.
Yeah, the Ragu and all that.
Yeah, I drove that thing a few times.
Yeah. So you're that's interesting, because you would think that when he makes the change in the middle of the first year with you in the Cup, that would have soured that relationship. But y'all, it didn't.
Yeah, no.
And you could have been bitter, right? And said, "Hey, F this guy. I'm not messing. He's dead to me."
Yeah. Well, of course, I'm mad.
Yeah.
But I'm also very understanding about what he's dealing with, running these teams and things not going well. And sometimes, I guess sometimes people think that I got to change something.
Yeah.
There's tough decisions. Even though I'm the one that it didn't work for me, I still understand this stuff.
Yeah.
Why somebody would do that. And I got a couple of opinions of why, because I really don't know why I got let go. One of them, I think it could have been Dodge wanted Jeremy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Could have been Dodge putting pressure on Ray and had to make a change, and I was just bad luck for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bill Elliott wasn't going to get changed. It was one.
No.
Yeah.
But I got the feeling sometimes, because we still hung out after that. I got the feeling that sometimes I think he really didn't want to.
Yeah.
It's just something else might have been pushing it.
Yeah. Well, I think that he was probably right. The 3 years, having given that grace period of 3 years would have probably been the best the best outcome for you.
Yeah.
Had you been really given that runway, that he thought you needed. That was probably, you would have probably gotten the results you were looking for.
Yeah. I needed more time to develop how to become a cup driver, how to be better off the track.
Yeah.
All this stuff, and just didn't get the time that it took.
When you go back into the Xfinity Series and you get back into their racing full time, you did this in 2004. You would end up, kind of bouncing around and doing different things. You ran full time for Fitz Bradshaw. You mentioned racing for Ray and his car a couple races in 05. You were a backup driver for Joe Gibbs in 06 when J.J. Yaley had some conflicts in the Cup car. You returned to Bruco in 06 as well. You didn't race in 07. Back to Baker Curb Racing in 08.
Yeah, I'm just bouncing.
You're trying to make it work.
I'm just bouncing around doing whatever somebody needs.
What one of those opportunities do you think was the best?
Oh, my favorite through there is just testing that Joe Gibbs car.
Yeah.
I mean, damn. I mean, I've always believed in myself, in my driving ability, but after a while, you're like, damn, man, I'm not doing good here. And then I jump in that Gibbs car. It was when the JJ and who was it Denny?
Yeah.
They were trying to run both schedules.
Yes.
And when the Busch cars were somewhere else, I would go practice it and qualify it if I needed to. I mean, I'm just top of the board every time I drive it. It's the best stuff I've ever drove. The engines were great, and I just always wished I could have. One of them might not have made it back.
Yeah, you could have got to race it.
Could have got to race it. I mean, I feel like I could have really won some races in that car.
Yeah. You end up you had a crash at Phoenix, got you hurt.
Yeah.
What happened?
Knocked me out. Got knocked out there.
Had you ever been knocked out before?
No.
Have you ever had your head, bell rung?
Yeah. I've saw stars a few times.
Yeah.
And you get out and just, you shake it off and act like nothing happened and going about your way. But
whose car were you driving?
When I got knocked out?
Yep.
This is actually a guy from Bruco's car that he just bought and was having. We kept it at Day Enterprise, or told you built that late model earlier. We're keeping it there, and it was basically just starting parking, and they let me race some.
Yeah.
And this was one they let me race. Was running Phoenix, and I get clipped. They were wrecking in front of me, is what I remember. And he would come down the track, and I was full throttle trying to miss him, and he nicked me and turned me up head on there off of 4. And knocked me out. I remember, I don't remember anything really, but on TV, they got a clip of it on YouTube. And
yeah.
They're showing me and not getting out. Then they go to commercial. They come back. I'm still not out. So I guess I knocked out pretty good while there.
What's the first thing you remember?
I remember waking up and getting in the ambulance, and they're asking me what happened, and I made something up. I don't know why I made it up. I don't remember. I mean, I just remember making a story up of what happened. It wasn't even close to what really happened. And you don't really know what's going on. I don't know why I told him that story.
Sure. You just need your reaction.
Yeah. And then I remember getting there to the infield care center and about to get out. And he's like, "Oh yeah, now I remember." And I told him another story. I told him another story.
Yeah.
It was just a weird feeling.
Yeah. So you go, I mean, you're all the way on the other side of the country with a concussion, right? Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Your career's not going well. Did you have a bit of a honest conversation with yourself on the way home from that, or in the days afterwards of, what am I doing? What do I need to be doing? Am I happy? I mean, did this ever happen at any point during all of this ride switching and bouncing around? And
yeah, I mean, I was still trying to bounce around and get something going the whole time.
Yeah. Were you happy?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Did you have to make a decision at all at one point and say, you know what, I'm done chasing after these little deals. I'm done waiting on these. I'm not,
Yeah, I pretty much. I mean, I was always open to if something else came along that was decent. I would probably look at it, but I wasn't trying.
Yeah.
I wasn't out there looking.
When do you think you came to terms with the reality of your career as a top 3 tier NASCAR driver being over?
Probably right after that wreck, probably.
Was you like, man, I'm done?
No, I mean, I didn't really think I was done, but I wasn't going to really put a lot of effort into trying to find something.
Yeah. So you went home.
If somebody would have called, I probably would have been, yeah, I'll do that.
So you went home?
Yeah.
And did anybody call?
No.
What'd your wife think?
She didn't care. I think she didn't want me out there getting hurt anyway.
Right. And are you having kids at this point, right?
Oh, yeah, I already had Kaylee was born in 2005.
So how are they influencing your life and your decisions at that point?
Yeah, I liked being home and taking them to school and going to games, and it probably influenced some of not going to the track and trying to find something else.
Yeah. So there's a break here. After 2009 to 2012, you didn't drive nothing.
I don't remember driving anything through that period.
Nothing.
No. Until I decided to go get a late model.
You ran a car of Sterling's at Nashville in a late model race during 2012.
Yeah, well, that was
it was like a one race deal.
Yeah, it was the promoter then wanted me to come run.
So you got a phone call. Promoter says, "Come to Nashville Fairgrounds. We want you to race."
Yeah, well, I was friends with him. Yeah. I've known him forever too. So he, I think we borrowed a car from Sterling or something.
Was it easy?
Because Tony wanted me to run that race.
Yeah. How'd it go?
I don't remember how that race went. It must not been too good.
Yeah.
But I don't remember how that particular race went. But I remember I only ran it once, and then I started trying to get my own stuff.
You got the itch again.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to imagine. I mean, you haven't drove a race car in 3 years. You're driving the kids to school, doing all the activities, being a husband. Wife's got you at home full time. Just imagining my situation, they would probably be really, really happy with that. And when I walked up one day and said, "Hey, somebody called and wants me to go drive his race car," my wife, just like she did when I told her I was going to run some car store races, went, "How you going to fit that in the schedule?" Well,
you probably got a lot more going on than I do.
Well, I still know that they love you being home.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's not maybe it was a little easier decision for you, but
yeah. Plus, I don't have to go anywhere.
It's right next door.
It's right next door.
But you get the itch to drive again, and that's what got you back into short tracks and grassroots racing.
Yeah, I run that car, Sterling's car, and then right after that, I believe that story where I went and bought that late model and we rebuilt it, and I don't know if we ran again that year or not. Might have been the next year after we got that car done.
Yeah. How often do you get asked about your Cup career?
I don't do.
You don't do much.
I don't do interviews.
I know. We dug up trying to figure out some information about you. The last thing that come up was an article from 2014 with Marty Smith.
Yeah. I don't do it.
Why?
Because I don't like talking about it really.
Why?
Because it didn't go right.
It didn't go right.
Yeah. So I don't have to talk about it now, so I don't.
Yeah. And so why'd you come here to do this?
Because it was you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did, man. I got to tell you, there's a lot of things about my career that didn't go the way I wanted. I never won a championship. I was Dale Earnhardt's son, and everybody thought, damn, if you don't win a championship, that's pretty bad, And there's a lot of people that'll tell you that as quick as they can. And so I can kind of relate a little bit to having some disappointments. I could have done things differently.
Yeah.
I could have applied myself. I went to race at Hendricks, and damn, man, I learned what a champion does, right, to be good.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Driving that Bud car all those years, I thought I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I can relate to the emotion that you have. But I'll tell you, man, I think that the industry as a whole really had a lot of good opinions about you. I remember going to Nashville and seeing you as young as you were, competing and racing as well as you were against guys that had been doing it their whole lives, and racing at that racetrack and those type of cars forever, and you just picked it right up and went right to it.
Yeah.
And you came into NASCAR with a lot of fanfare and a lot of high expectations. You'd done great things in the 27 car for Bruco, but you came into a new team, you know?
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier, I don't know that you even realized how hard it would be to get that team off the ground, no matter who was driving the cars. You know, Denny Hamlin ain't going to jump in 2311 cars right at the get-go, right? He ain't going to do that.
Yeah.
His career is too important. He's said it himself. He's not going to drive those cars until they get as good or better than the stuff he's in now. He's not getting out of a winning race car to drive a brand new 2311 car. And so you had a lot of stuff stacked up against you, a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
And I will say too, man, one of the things that I thought you did well was you kept it to yourself. The frustrations of driving, you know, the 7 car, being relegated down to that team and taken out of such a, you know, great opportunity that you felt was starting to really start to bear some fruit. You managed that well. As frustrated as you might have been, as mad as you might have been.
Yeah.
You never took any of that public.
No.
You know what? Ray Evernham sat at this table and complimented you on not only how talented you were. He regrets a lot of the things that happened and that you didn't really get to see it through, but he still calls you a friend today.
Yeah. Yeah, I kept it. I mean, I'm not one. It's not like me to go to the media and bash anybody, or I just don't like doing that.
Yeah, you know? But even when, you know, you get, you know, drivers get out and stomp their foot, slam a helmet.
Yeah.
You know, you never did any of it.
No.
You know, is you're a racer. I know you're competitive.
Yeah.
You have that in you, but you were, even at a young age, able to have a lot of self-control, I think, which was pretty impressive. I feel like that I feel like I have a connection to you because we kind of both came up into the Xfinity Series around the same time. And I love to know that you're still out there racing. It doesn't matter what you're racing. It took me a long time to be okay. It took me a long time to have the balls to go drive my late model again.
Yeah.
I should have did that stuff so long ago. I wasted a bunch of time just thinking, man, I don't want to get my ass kicked by some kid, you know, that's doing this every week, and they do.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, but it took me a while to be okay with that.
Yeah.
But I hope you're having fun.
Yeah.
You know, even though maybe things didn't go as well for either one of us as we hoped, right? We didn't achieve all the things we wanted at the upper levels. I hope that you're able to enjoy just racing when you do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I enjoy driving. I mean, it's all I know, really. So I like driving anything. Trying to figure out how to make it go faster. That's fun. Working on the car.
At 43 years old, it seems like that you don't really make a plan. But where do you want to be in 5 years? You got kids that are getting old enough to start making their own lives.
Yeah.
That's got to be pretty frightening.
Yeah, it's a rough time right now because, you know, they're getting older and one of them's about to go to college.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to go. you know, I want them to stay around the house for a while. But
what's that like? I'm a dad of a 3 and a 5-year-old. I'm on the opposite end.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you're just getting going.
Yeah. So you're here you are with kids leaving the nest.
Yeah. Well, I thought Kaylee's gonna go to college around the house, so she'll still be there for a while. So yeah. So hopefully I got a few 4 or 5 more years with her. And
are they building their own relationships and you know, when they start spending more time with their friends, boyfriends, and all those things, and choosing you less, how do you manage that?
You know, they're at home all the time. It's the weirdest thing because, you know, we were always out of the house. Out of the house, we were out doing stuff. But Kaylee and Emma are they're pretty focused on school, and they both do great in school, and they're always home. They're not out doing parties so I think I've gotten really, really lucky. They're always with us.
Yeah.
I don't have to do a lot of worrying.
What's the secret to being a great father, especially a girl dad?
I don't know, man. It's just try to tell them stories and make them scared to do stuff they're not supposed to do.
How do you do that?
Tell them.
That's what I need to learn.
Yeah.
I got one that's out of control, man. I can't see my little 3-year-old's crazy.
Yeah.
The second one was your second child a little wilder than the first?
No.
No,
she's
golly.
No.
I gotta be careful what I say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know. When you're in it, it's hard to think of what you're doing right or doing wrong. But we've obviously done good with those because they're good girls and they don't go out and do parties. And
you give a lot of credit to your wife on in how the girls behave, how they manage.
Oh yeah, because
is it as a girl dad? Is it best just kind of stay out of the way most times?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, emotional. You know, my oldest one, I can make her cry like that.
Yeah.
You know, just if I just say something wrong.
Yeah.
She cried.
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful around them, it's just it's tough raising girls, but I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, I always wanted boys, of course, but after having a couple girls, I don't want boys no more.
I felt the same way. I was thinking, oh man, I gotta have a son, and want a boy playing sports or even maybe racing or whatever, right? And then 2's plenty. I didn't want a bigger family than that. So when we ended up just having 2 girls, with the first girl. So I don't know what it was like for you growing up, but there wasn't a lot of emotion in the house with Dad and all of them. He was tough and very driven by his career and all that. So when I got married and had a wife and then had a little girl, I was like, man, this is awesome. Everybody in here thinks everybody in here loves me, right? And just, it's like more and more love in the house. So we had a second girl. It was like, well, it's just going to multiply all the love. I'm outnumbered, but having another boy then became a bit intimidating or scary because my wife won't let these girls my wife won't screw this up. These girls are going to be great. I don't, but having a boy, it would fall on me a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
And boy, I don't know whether I have what it takes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel the same way that because Laura got to stay home with the girls. She didn't work, so she got to raise them, and I'm so happy that she was able to stay home with them, and she did a great job.
Yeah,
great. Well, it made it easy on me.
Yeah,
I didn't have to do a lot.
I feel the same way. I think if you have a boy though, man, you're like, if he screws up, it's you.
Yeah,
that's you doing.
Yeah,
it.
I never thought about it that way. That's true.
I'm like, oh, I don't know. There's be some positives to it as well. How much of the sport do you pay attention today?
I don't watch it.
Yeah.
No, I don't watch it that much. I do a racing pot, and we pick 6 drivers, and at the end of the year, we win some money.
Yeah.
I just look at the results. I mean, I see what's going on, but I don't really watch the races.
Even Xfinity?
Yeah, I don't watch it.
Your old stomping grounds?
Yeah, I don't watch it.
You think you'd jump in one today and do anything if you got the chance? Ever think about that?
I think if it was at the right track, I think I could.
What was the right track for you?
Flat tracks.
Okay.
Indy.
That's so weird because you grew
I know.
You grew up racing at the fairgrounds. You'd think you'd say Bristol or somewhere.
I don't know why it worked out that way. Because it's just what I ran.
Freaking Sterling would take any car to Bristol and be fast. Remember he drive that Tennessee car and stuff like that?
Yeah.
He just show up for a one-off and run in the top 5, and I'm like, it's because of the Nashville,
Yeah,
so
I don't know
similar.
why it worked out that way. Loudon, Milwaukee, the old Homestead, Phoenix. Ran good at them every time.
Yeah.
Flat tracks. I don't know why. But, yeah, if I could run Loudon or something that I liked, more comfortable with, I don't see why I couldn't get in there and be competitive.
Figure it out. Yeah. Honestly, they ain't changed. The Xfinity cars haven't changed a ton. They have a lot less grip today. Tires feel a lot harder. But otherwise, well, man, I know you came a long way to be here. And I told you this, but I'm super thankful. Thanks for coming to be on the show, and I hope you enjoyed your conversation here today.
Yeah.
A lot of fans are going to be excited to hear what you've been up to. That you're still competing in racing is awesome, and I hope you'll continue to do that. And yeah, man, I've always kind of just wondered what you've been up to. I always thought a lot of you, and you were quiet. We never really did get to build a friendship, but I always did. I was the same way with you, man. I'd go up on the driver's intro stage, and I'm like, none of these freaking people want to talk to me.
Yeah, that's the way I felt.
That's the way I felt too.
And I would just stay away. And I'd probably like, look at this damn kid over here ain't talking to nobody.
Yeah.
But it was because I was nervous.
I know. I had the same feelings, even though things were so different for me from a outside perspective. I was feeling the exact same feelings you had on the inside, especially when you get in the cup garage with all those guys. But man, it's been nice talking to you and catching up.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Casey Atwood on the Dale Jr. Download. All right, so quick reaction to Casey Atwood on the show. Casey was reserved, and we got up from the table, and he said something that I wish we would have gotten into the mic. But he gets up from the table and he says, something that made me want to compliment him. He said, my dad used to always say hello to him. He said, your dad, would say hey to me when you'd see me in the garage area and stuff. And now we didn't have any long conversations, but he always acknowledged me. And I was like, Casey, back then a lot of people had a lot of respect and excitement for you. They thought you were talented and going to be this great, project and product. And then he went to, I just, let a lot of people run through me, didn't stick up for myself. And I think he means on and off the racetrack. And he's like, he looked at the table and he said, I still ain't sticking up for myself today. He feels like he just came in here and sat down and got up from his table and got up from that conversation and didn't feel like that he, stood up for himself. I hate that he feels that way. You can tell if you watch the video of any of this, you can see it in his face. And he said it as much. Man, he doesn't love talking about his cup career because it didn't work out the way he wanted to. And I feel terrible for him that he has a hard time discussing something that was such a big part of his life. And I hope that maybe he walks away feeling a little bit better about that. The dude came out of nowhere from nothing. He didn't have a family in racing. He didn't have a famous father or a successful family member that would, chaperone him right into the sport. Now, he did have Bobby Hamilton. He was very lucky to make that connection, and that was beneficial to him. And everybody who's in motorsports has somebody like that has helped them through. But he came up through the Xfinity ranks, and when he was with Bruco, he was doing great things and running competitively, winning races. And, got tabbed to drive for Ray in this great opportunity, and it just didn't work out. And there's a long list of drivers who go into these situations that look great and they don't work out. And he's not alone, right? He's not on an island in that respect. I'm glad that he's still racing, still turning a wheel. And he's 43 years old and looks great and looks like he can continue doing it for several years if he wants. And I hope he will. And I hope that when he goes home and he sees his family, he's proud of that part of his life. I'm sure he is. And I hope that hope that helps him. Anyhow, man, I can't believe dude drove all the way here to do this show.
It's crazy.
And then turn around and go home. That's wild, Andrew.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for him to do that. I would have not been comfortable, or I personally would have been, if I would have, we got it from the table and I said, man, you're not going to do nothing else. You got so many people in this area. You could go to lunch. You could go to dinner. You could see friends and say hello. And he said, man, I didn't want to bother him. Casey Atwood, I mean, I'll be honest, he's different than I thought. I really had no relationship with this guy. We hardly talked. And he's right. I almost kind of had this impression of him that he might have been a tinge on the confident side. Maybe arrogant is too strong of a word. He did stay off to the side. He did have this sort of brow that, this stern look on his face. That was he's not really approachable, even as young as he was. But he's different than I thought. He's a bit softer and a bit shy. Well, I hope people are happy to have heard from him and what he's up to. And I hope you'll let him know if you see Casey or have any way to ever reach out and let him know, hey, man, we're glad to hear from you, Casey Atwood. We're glad to know what you're up to, and I really enjoyed watching you as a competitor. Thank you, Ally, for bringing us this guest segment every week. Thank you for supporting the Dale Jr. Download. No matter what you're saving for in life, whether it's a trip to Mooresville, North Carolina, to be on the podcast, or you're buying a new car, race tickets, a new home, it doesn't matter. We're all better off with an ally. And we have a new ally today in Casey Atwood. So it's time for the white flag. As you know, with the white flag, I'm going to tell you all of the things going on with Dirty Mo Media. On Monday, the teardown with Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi. Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin. Door Bumper Clear. All those shows every Monday. Yesterday, our Dirty Air show hit the ground running with Tyler Reddick, the winner from Talladega. And then today, Speed Street with Connor Daly and Chase Holden. Tomorrow, Dirty Mo Doe with Steve Letarte. They're going to preview Dover on that show. And then DJ D Reloaded also coming out tomorrow. Carla and the crew. What are they going to talk about this week? It's been an amazing run for them. Hope you've enjoyed everything we've done here at Dale Jr. Download. And I've enjoyed being at the table this week. And that Marlon Yoder interview was such a good interview. And we were able to back it up with Casey Atwood. We've got a lot of great guests coming down the pipe. We've got a great summer ahead of us. We're going to be doing some fun things. Having some guests that we've never been able to get into the room. Guests that can't come to Mooresville. Think about that. Who could that be? We're going to have some fun this summer. Look forward to it. We'll see you next week. Take it easy.